Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Smash JT. In this episode, I'm going to be reviewing Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle for the Nintendo Switch, and we're going to answer one question for you. Is it worth your time? Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battle is a role-playing crossover title between the Mario franchise and Ubisoft's Rabbids. And you may be wondering how they even ended up tying these two franchises into a game and having a story make sense of it. Suffice it to say, it involves a robot assistant, a time machine malfunctioning, and the Mario Kingdom going into complete disarray with everything fusing together. And to be honest, the actual introduction video to this game is one of the best intros to any game I've ever played. And I'm not just referring to the graphics, the storytelling, the way it's put together, it feels like you're watching a movie for the first 5 minutes of the game. And the story is far-fetched and wacky and crazy and totally out there. And somehow, with both these franchises, works absolutely perfect. And it seems to be the case with every game made these days. There's your typical green grass level, your desert level, your winter level, your ghost level. All the typical levels are there. But that doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing, because the enemies that you'll be fighting in those zones truly bring those levels to life. You start off in the overworld, and that works as sort of a level selection, but there's a lot more to the overworld than just picking levels. It's a really good job of switching things up and giving you a little bit of variety in between playing the stages. And the puzzles that you'll be facing throughout the overworld are difficult, but just challenging enough to take a good amount of time on them, but not get stuck on them for too long. With that being said, there were a few things that I really did not like about this game. First off, the camera angles. For some reason, a lot of these tactical RPG games cannot get the camera angles right. I dealt with this in Final Fantasy Tactics, where it was a 3/4 view and you could only turn the camera to a 3/4 view around the character, and it was really hard to see where the enemies were in context to where your characters were. And as such, was difficult to find out if they'd be able to hit you based off of where you were standing when you stopped moving. As the levels progressed, they got bigger and bigger, and you wanted to see where all the NPCs were before you made your moves, but unfortunately you couldn't do that. You just had to pan around the whole camera in what felt like a super zoomed up mode just to see where all the enemies were before you made your move. Another thing that stood out to me was the insane difficulty spikes. It goes from being way too easy to really challenging, and no in between. There's no gradual step up to that point. As you progress through the game, it will absolutely beat you down, especially when you get to the ghost world. And while that didn't deter me from continuing playing, it certainly took away from my enjoyment of the experience, because I felt like it was cheap more than anything. There were way too many enemies for the power of my characters, and I wasn't able to fend them off without a ton of trial and error. And when I say trial and error, these levels get to be about a half an hour long, and you can get 29 minutes into it, one of your characters dies, and you need to start it over to get a perfect score at the end of the level. And while a lot of people might be like, Jeff, you're probably just not good at the game, I've played Final Fantasy Tactics to death. I've played XCOM Enemy Unknown to death. These games are extremely challenging, but I've never felt so beat down as what Mario & Rabbids Kingdom Battles did to me. In a word, it's unforgiving. While the game does let you go back to previous levels and build up more coins by grinding out and fighting more enemies, those enemies are extremely easy, and it just feels like a waste of time. You're just going through these levels, going through the motions, just to grind out some more coins to be able to afford higher class weapons to be able to beat some of these enemies in the higher levels. And in that, I feel like there's a missed opportunity that they could have put a buffer in between that to have you do something else to get more coins, so that it didn't feel so monotonous. And finally, when booting up the game and loading your previous save file up, it starts you back at the castle at the very beginning every single time. And you have to travel with your party to the last level that you left off at in order to continue playing where you left off at. It doesn't just start you there from the get-go, which was unfortunate because it made me feel like I couldn't play a different game on my Switch while I was playing this game, because every time I switched out of this game to a different game and then went back to Mario Rabbids, I'd have to start at the castle and go find out where I was, and it wouldn't tell you exactly where to go, so you'd have to travel around and waste a ton of time just to find the last level you were at. And while it seems like I'm sitting here just complaining about all the things I didn't like about this game, there were just as many things that I liked about this game, and I definitely want to give this game some props for those things as well. The graphics were absolutely incredible. They were crisp, they were clean, they were the best I've ever seen Mario and his friends look. Which is definitely saying something when you compare it to Mario Kart and the other Mario games that Nintendo's released. This was a game by Ubisoft and the graphics blew me away. The sound effects were great, the music truly fit the environments perfectly, and as I said at the beginning, the storyline is absolutely incredible and it truly keeps the player engaged throughout. And while the skill tree system was convoluted, I didn't mind it so much because it was fun trying to get more skill points and unlock whatever you wanted to in the skill tree as you went, to be able to give you a different play experience every time you played. And this is on top of being able to select different characters on whatever level you want to give you a different experience, which truly adds to the replayability of this game. There's a $20 season pass available for this, and that involves exclusive weapons, new solo challenges, and co-op maps, and a new storyline. But as for this review, I'm just going to be talking about the actual base game, and the reason for that is I don't really feel like there's a need to buy the Season Pass at this point. I feel like there's enough content in this game from start to finish. It lasts about 20 hours, and you should feel truly fulfilled from playing the game in that amount of time. And for me personally, while weighing all the positives and negatives that this game presents to the player, I'm giving it a solid 7.75 out of 10. I feel like it's an above average game, but it's not without its frustrations, and by no means do people need to rush out and buy this game today. In fact, with all the amazing games out there right now for less, I would say wait on this title until it comes down in price to like 20 or 30 bucks with a Game of the Year edition that includes all that content from the Season Pass in addition to the base game for way less of a price, and I feel like you'd get a lot more value for your money at that point. But until then, I'm saying hold off on it. It's a lot of fun, and a lot of people out there may disagree with me and say I really enjoy this game, I think it's awesome, and more power to you. But for me, I feel like there were too many downfalls in today's gaming for it to be a game for me to highly recommend for people to pick up right now. But again, those are my thoughts on the game. Let me know down in the comments section below what you think about Mario and Rabbids, and as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one.
Just hurry.